Willie Snead told Matt Lively here of KPIX CBS in the Bay Area that Brock Purdy reminds him of Drew Brees. And Lively asked him, he was like, wait, are you being serious? Or are you just kind of saying that? It was a good follow-up. Good job, Matt. And here's what Willie said.
I told him last year, it's just something that I see in him. I've been around Drew for 3 years, and just the professionalism, the way he approaches the game, studying, comes to work every day, throwing after practice, taking practice reps serious, that just implements what Drew was, and that's why he was a Hall of Famer. So, it's a stretch to say that, but, I've been around that guy, and I know what that guy does, and Brock has very similar, elements to his game.
So he says it's a stretch to say that. Like he's saying, I'm not saying he's Drew, but I see some of the things. I think, Willie Snead's a veteran guy. Now, he was with the Saints as a rookie back in 2015, 16, 17. At that point, Drew Brees had been in the league 15 years already. I mean, it was crazy. Brees was on the Chargers for 5 years before he even got to New Orleans. But he's been around, and he's been around high-level organizations, right? He played for the Saints with Sean Payton, high level. He played for the Ravens, high level. And he knows what it looks like. And I think he also understands what a veteran's role is. Part of a veteran's role, depending on what position you play, is to help people get more confident, to help people believe in themselves, to tell them, I've been around this league. I think you can do it. And it's one thing to say it to that person. It's another thing to say it publicly. And for Willie to do that, and for him to say, like, this is something I've always said, it doesn't mean that Brock's about to be Drew Brees or that he'll even be anything close to Drew Brees. Drew Brees is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the sport, and he did it without being one of the most talented players from a physicality standpoint. Not one of the biggest, and certainly not a strongest arm. But Drew Brees had a couple of things. Crazy work ethic. You remember the video Reggie Bush took of Brees all alone in the practice facility, practicing all the calls, all by himself, audibles, all that stuff, all alone. And Willie's saying, this guy, that work ethic was special. This guy's work ethic is special. The other thing Brees had, and when Willie Snead was there, I looked, Brees threw 92 touchdowns in a 3-year span in 15, 16, and 17. Against not many, 37, 23, and 32. Maybe it was 16, 17, 18. Maybe those were the years. But one thing that Drew has, and this is an advantage that Brock Purdy has. Brock Purdy on the Niners has the best chance to maximize what he'll become. Drew Brees on the Chargers was not maximizing. I mean, Drew Brees on the Chargers was a healthy number of touchdowns. By his 4th year, he threw 27 and 7. That's really good. Then he threw 24 and 15. He was throwing a lot of picks. And he always threw picks in the teens. He threw the ball a lot. He threw a lot of touchdowns. But here's what Drew had. He had Sean Payton. He had one of the best offensive play callers in the league. And that's what Brock Purdy has. He's one of the best offensive play callers in the league. So he's going to have every opportunity to maximize every ounce of talent in his body. There are 2 coaches who have called plays for more consecutive seasons in the NFL than Kyle Shanahan has. Josh McDaniels and Andy Reid. The other guy who's right there with him is Sean Payton, except Sean had to take a year off, so a league-imposed year off, and then he took some time off after the Saints. Now he's back. But, I think that's pretty special to hear Willie say that. And again, to me, it doesn't mean Brock's going to be Brees, but if he can be a guy that maximizes what he has. Right now, there is a ceiling that gets put on him, and certainly in the draft there was a ceiling because of just the physical limitations that he doesn't throw it like Darnold. He's not as big as Lance, right? But Brees was none of those things too. And the difference between Brees and Purdy, something that Purdy has that Brees didn't, was Purdy gets to dive in right away to a good team. Brees started a game, had some bad years, went 2-9. He as a starter his 3rd year, and he had to, they had to suffer. Brock, we'll see what happens, but Brock steps into a better situation than Drew Brees did. I mean, Drew Brees went to the franchise that the Mannings stayed away from, in that Rivers could never ultimately win with. And for Willie Snead to say that, I take what Willie says seriously. I've watched a lot of practice. Willie Snead practices hard. Willie Snead, I think, practices what he preaches. Willie Snead catches a lot of footballs. Willie Snead, we'll see whether or not he makes the 53. I don't expect him to. I think most people don't expect him to. But that guy's a pro. And for a pro to say that, a vet to say that's pretty cool. And I'm sure it's cool for Brock that he hears it from Willie as often as he does.